Line's good.
Never on!
Whoa.
Hard! Hardly.
Come on, Brent. Line's good. Got real close.
The hair high, right?
Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham Scott alongside, as always, hello, Scott.
Sean, what's going on? I'm a little fired up.
Yeah, you're really fired up before we started to record here.
Yeah, we wasted a lot of good pod on our pre-pod discussion.
We did.
We're here at the Rito Curling Club today.
Yeah, we came here in part to watch Team Moser, who is not participating in a game this evening. I did not check the schedule. It's a terrible job by me.
So what you're saying is we did a lot less research for Team Moser's schedule as compared to the participants in the Scotties Tournament of Hearts.
Absolutely right, and I think that is 100% warranted. Although last week we did do a very scientific research analysis of the time of game of Team Moser, which was not particularly welcomed by the team, but we did it anyway. And now we have turned our attention to the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, which kicks off Friday night out there in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, one of the sneaky great cities in this country. I personally love Moose Jaw. Wonderful town. They got the tunnels there. They got the murals. They got the giant moose, of course.
Of course.
And they have this year the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. And if you're from out of province, you can park your car for free in Moose Jaw with out of province plates.
Wow, out of province plates?
Yeah, fun fact about Moose Jaw.
Cool.
But Scott, this field, we talked about it on Sunday. We talked about it since the field was set. This is an absolutely loaded field. I am very excited. The Scotties is my favorite event of the year. There's just something about the hearts in the button area.
Yeah.
I just love everything about it. Even the commercials I like. I like the woman who's using the shopping cart as a stone almost. And she has all Scotties products, but like different versions of Scotties products perfectly arranged in her trunk, including like the same thing. Like,
yeah,
so
just
she has like
different brands of toilet paper.
Yeah, so she got like the regular toilet paper, she got the cashmere toilet paper. Like, why? I don't understand.
Well,
like,
one for the guest bathroom
I
and one for
I just
your own.
love everything about this event. And Scott, this field is 100% absolutely loaded. I think it's the best field that we've had in at least 10 years.
Yeah, it's really good. And looking at the groups, which we'll get into in a bit, Group A seems like a group of death. There's going to be at least one really good team that isn't able to make the championship round. And overall, like really top quality competition.
Yeah, so let's get into it. We'll start with the wild card teams. The field is set, but not fully set. So the two teams that qualified based on points, and really it was no question, it was the two teams out of the big three from Manitoba who did not win.
That's right.
The provincials, unless there was an upset, of course. So we get Jennifer Jones facing off against Tracy Fleury in the wild card game Friday night. It'll be on Sheet C. Mm-hmm. Sort of interesting factoid. On Friday, all the teams get 15 minutes to practice on each sheet.
That's right.
Except for the two wildcard teams who get 15 minutes on Thursday on Sheet C and 15 minutes on Friday on Sheet C. So whoever comes in won't have practiced on any of the other sheets. I don't think it really matters that much. Just sort of an interesting factoid. But Tracy Fleury, Jennifer Jones, Friday night, Scott, what do we expect out of this game?
Well, these are obviously the two best teams that weren't able to qualify through provincials. Tracy Fleury's team had a really great fall. They got one Grand Slam victory under their belts. I expect a lot from them. They were, of course, Manitoba last year. Had their ups and downs. I believe they did not qualify for the championship pool, which was pretty crazy, given Manitoba's pedigree.
Yeah,
but this year, comparing the results of Team Fleury versus Team Jones, the odds makers, I think, in Vegas would put Team Fleury as the overwhelming favorite. Yet, if you had told me that, at the start of this season, I would have said, "Oh, you're nuts. Jennifer Jones is a legend, right? You can't bet against her in the big game." Yet, I still might.
Okay.
What do you think?
It's tough. So last year, 4-4, they lost a tiebreak game to get into that championship pool. So 4-3 in the regular pool, and then losing a tiebreaker there. I agree. I think Tracy Fleury is the favorite. Again, which is weird to say because Jennifer Jones is in this game. But, last year, Jennifer Jones missed the playoffs as Team Canada, which is crazy on its own. She made it to the championship pool, missed the playoffs. She's had a tough fall. She's only won one event, which was the Shorty Jenkins. Otherwise, the results are not what you would expect from Jennifer Jones. On the season, 41-25. Hammer efficiency of 38%, force efficiency 58%. So not great numbers there. The force efficiency isn't terrible, but the hammer efficiency, you'd like that to be a little bit higher. And one interesting thing, Scott, I went through because, eye test, the results haven't been what we would expect from Jennifer Jones. So I went through, Scott, and found Jennifer Jones' winning percentages for the past 9 seasons.
For the entire season?
For the entire season.
Okay.
So 2012, 730 winning percentage. 2013, 714. 2014, 788. 2015, 763. 2016, 699. 2017, 694. 2018, 789. Those are very, very good.
Yes.
Right? You're winning over 70% of your games over the course of 7 seasons.
Yes.
That's pretty damn
Pretty
good. Last year, where we noticed that the results weren't what we would have expected, all the way down to 614. This year, down at 621. So a really noticeable slide in the overall winning percentage for Jennifer Jones the past 2 seasons. So it's not just us observing and thinking that she's struggling. The actual winning percentage bears that out. And we've seen it in some of the games, like the playoff games of the Canadian Open, where she had a lead, and it seemed like she had almost luckily taken control of the game and then gives it right back. Right? And she's given up more big ends. The Canada Cup, you remember she gave up a score of 5 in a 5-5 game to Carrie Anderson. Those things that you just don't expect from a Jennifer Jones skip team. And it's not so much a reflection on the team as Jennifer Jones herself has struggled to throw, right? Like she's missed shots that you don't expect her to miss. So compare that to Tracy Fleury, who has really come into her own this season. That win in North Bay at that Grand Slam was really big for this team, just playing with a ton of confidence. And when you're looking at, as Brad Gushu said at the trials, when I asked, why do we have this concentration of the teams in the playoffs at the Brier each year, he said it's because of the skips. It's because of the skips. And at this point, Tracy Fleury has played better than Jennifer Jones this year, so you got to give her the edge. Yeah,
and if you compare the supporting casts too, I think Caitlin Laws is probably the best player out of the rest of the 6 of them.
Maybe out of the 8 in the game.
Maybe, yeah. You could definitely make that case. But top to bottom, both of these teams are like really good. So I don't think there's much to choose from the first 3 positions. So then it will likely come down to who plays better, Tracy Fleury or Jennifer Jones.
Yep.
We know Jennifer Jones likes to mix it up early. Part of her trademark is her aggressive strategy. I wonder if, not getting the results from that would cause them to switch gears and maybe play a little less, mix it up a little less. I don't think it's in her DNA to do it.
I don't think so either.
But you wonder if that's a strategy that might afford them a better outcome.
Maybe. I think where you might see that is a first end, right? I think Tracy Fleury has shown in the past a willingness to burn an end to start a game. Normally Jennifer Jones would try to push back against a team that wants to do that. Maybe we don't see that in this game. I think it'll depend in part on who has the hammer, too, right? Who wins that draw to the button.
Do you know if it's a draw to the button or is it based on seeding?
I believe it's a draw to the button.
Okay.
For that wild card game. So that'll make a big difference. Of course, just from another perspective, color seems to make a difference on the wild card teams. The teams that have the brighter colors, I think, have lost the wild card games. So look out to see who gets which color jackets there too. Orange tends to not do well in these games, if memory serves. Although I think Casey Scheider a couple years ago did win as orange.
Did we have black and white last year?
Yeah, we did.
Were the two of them?
Yeah.
So
Carrie Anderson made it to the final in 2017
wearing black,
or 2018, excuse me, wearing the black jackets.
Yeah.
So color could matter here on the jackets. Tracy Fleury, another interesting thing. Tracy Fleury has played more games this season, 11 more games than Jennifer Jones, but has lost fewer games.
Okay.
Right? So she's 55 and 22. Jennifer Jones is at 41-25. So just you got to give the edge to Tracy Fleury, but if you're looking at experience, and if the ice is tricky, which often is the case on the first day of these arena events, it's hard to say that Jennifer Jones doesn't have an advantage in ice rating. Now, Tracy Fleury's played on a ton of arenas. This will be her 5th time at a Scotties. Certainly no slouch in this category, but Jennifer Jones has seen everything you can see in terms of ice conditions.
Yeah.
So you got to give her a slight edge there if the conditions are a little strange, which is what we saw last year.
That's right.
In that wild card game.
Yeah, and we talked about it a bit on our last episode that could the team that picks up the ice first
should win.
Should be the team that wins.
Yeah.
So, you got to give Jones the edge in that, as you said. But I think all things considered, we've got to pick Tracy Fleury as the favorite.
I think so. So the winner of that game, Scott, is going to go into Pool B. So that's where we'll start with our preview of the two pools. But first, Scott, we mentioned the loadedness of the field. I went through and I calculated the records of all the skips in Scotties games in which they were the skip.
Okay.
So Marianne Arsenault, a second for Colleen Jones. I didn't count those games. Just the games that she has played as the skip.
Okay.
Which, if I had included those games, this number would be even crazier. So out of the skips, out of the 16 skips, how many games just do you think have been skipped by these 16 women?
Holy cow.
At a Scotties?
Well, you got a couple of rookies, right? So so you won't have any games there. On the flip side, you've got Jennifer Jones, who has won 6 times, I think, and so that's at least 16 games. I'm going to put it in the 600s.
So in total, we have 874 games skipped by the women who are skipping. That's not games played, right? Because Carrie Galusha, her first couple times was as a front-end player. Marianne Arsenault, of course, is a front-end player. Lori Eddy, her appearance was as a front-end player.
Yeah.
So I'm not counting any of those.
Wow.
Just as the skip. Overall, the record of the women as skips, 504 and 370.
Wow, above 500.
Well above 500. It's really a very impressive. If you look at some of the ones that are just absolutely bonkos, Jennifer Jones, 141 and 46.
Wow.
At the Scotties. The other one, of course, Rachel Homan, 64 and 17. But overall winning percentage, can you guess who it is?
The winner goes to...
Who has the best winning percentage?
Winning percentage as a skip.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not Jennifer Jones.
Actually, I didn't do the math here.
Okay.
But the one that I'm most impressed by, how's that?
Well, then it's going to be Nova Scotia and Marianne Arsenault.
No, it's not. Marianne Arsenault has actually had a couple tough appearances. She's only 26 and 20 as a skip. It is, of course, Chelsea Carey.
Chelsea Carey, of course.
42 and 11 as a skip. So over 80% winning.
Yeah,
there.
Bad mistake by me. I shouldn't have should have got that one.
Yeah, the worst record, perhaps unsurprisingly, goes to Carrie Galusha.
That's right.
In her appearances. This is her 17th time at a Scotties.
Wow. As
a skip, 39 and 95. A couple other ones who've been here a lot. Andrea Crawford, 38 and 46. Suzanne Burt, 56 and 63. So, some pretty good records overall, but a lot of wins and a lot of experience here. So let's start with Pool B.
Okay.
We'll talk about Rachel Homan. She is the top-ranked team in this pool, winning Ontario pretty easily. The final was a little closer than you might have expected, but overall, I think this is a team, Scott, that if they don't make the playoffs, let's not even talk about championship pool with them. If they don't make the playoffs, that'll be surprising even in this field.
Oh yeah, big time. This is a lock for the championship pool. I said it here. Come at me, whatever. They've experienced some tough games this year, coming off a summer in which two babies joined the team.
Yep.
But I mean, Rachel Holman, one of the best players in the world. You got to give them a pretty good shot here. Do you have, Sean, anything that looks like it could be in the way of Team Holman?
No. The thing that we've talked about with them in the past is that they have been disinterested seemingly in some events.
Yeah.
The Scotties has never been one of those, right? They've always shown up and been really good at the Scotties. They've made the playoffs every time that they've been here. Fifth appearance for Rachel Holman. Not the fifth appearance. Seventh appearance. But they've always made the playoffs here.
Yes.
They always play well. They always, even when they struggle, they can pull out games. They're just good.
They're just straight up
just
good,
really,
right?
really good.
And as somebody like watching them in the Ontario final, it was a close game, but I never thought they were going to lose. Right. And so I think they do that a lot. We've talked about it, that they'll sometimes let teams hang around a little longer than they should.
Yep.
But then it sort of makes it all the more impressive when they, put the foot on the neck and really finish teams off. So I expect them to be pretty focused going into this event, knowing how much it means to them, and they're definitely one of the favorites.
Yeah, and I think the pools broke out well for them. Right?
Yeah,
Pool A is really good. Pool B is good too, but not as competitive, I don't think, for those spots in the championship pool. So it broke out really well for them. And even the teams, a couple of the teams which we'll talk about that can be competitive, I don't think are at the Rachel Holman level by any means.
No.
They should come out of that championship pool, I would say at worst 6-1, I would think. I'd be surprised if they come out of that 5-2. So
yeah.
You're looking at them coming into that championship pool probably already in first or second place overall. So should be in a strong position for them.
Yeah. And I said to you I was going to pick out a few things for each team from the media guide.
Yeah.
Well, one thing. So one of the things that I noticed is Cheryl Kreviazik will be their alternate. She, of course, played as their alternate with them the year they won the World Championship in 2017, I believe. And fun fact, we played against Cheryl Kreviazik in the Gordy Perry Spiel and beat them.
Yes, we did.
A draw to the button. So I say I've beaten a world champion.
Yeah, you have.
So good on us.
Yes. That was an interesting game, which has fueled a feud for a long time. But yes, we were able to pull that game out in a draw to the button at like 1 a.m. at the Gordy Perry Spiel.
It's the greatest moment of my curling career.
So we'll move on. Next, the next ranked team in this pool will be whoever wins that wild card game.
That's right.
As we said, we give the edge to Tracy Fleury. One other note here, Scott, on that game, which I think is quite interesting. Jennifer Jones, despite the struggles in close games this season, has been very good.
Yeah.
In extra ends, 7-0.
7-0. It hasn't lost the extra end.
So that's just another thing to keep track of. So if Jennifer Jones makes it through, that'll be fun. Tracy Fleury makes it through, that'll also be fun.
We'll have fun.
Yeah. So wild card will be the second ranked team. Next up is I was a little surprised that they were ranked this high in the pool. It's Corinne Brown and the team from British Columbia, who 2013 Canadian junior champions when she was like 15 years old, 14, 15 years old, because she got back again a few more times, and now making that transition to the women's game, beat Team Wark in the final there in BC. Very impressive comeback after she gave up a big 3, I believe, in the 8th or 9th end, and was able to come back, win that game in an extra end. First appearance at the Scotties for Corinne Brown.
Yeah, you're right. It does seem a little bit high, but they do play a lot on that BC tour.
Yep.
And they're able to churn points there. The caliber is not as high as at the Grand Slam level, but it's still a very high caliber tour there. They've played in a couple events on the West Coast, I think, not just the West Coast, Western Prairies as well. It's sort of weird that she won the juniors so long ago and kept going back and yet wasn't able to break through another time, right? Because as you mentioned, she won it when she was young, 15 or 16 or something like that. And then the team, though, has been together so long, I don't expect any issues there. The lights might be a little bit bright for them the first couple days. We'll see. I don't have their schedule in front of me. I don't know who they're playing those first couple draws, but it'll be important for them to be able to overcome that and get some wins under their belt and gain some momentum. We saw this happen last year with Sarah Work's team, right? Yeah. They got some early wins and were able to make it into the championship pool, having gotten sort of the nerves out of the way.
Yeah, what's interesting, though, is after that 2013 national championship, she struggles at the World Championship, goes 3-6. In her subsequent 2 times at the Canadian Juniors, wins a bronze in 2015, and then misses the playoffs in 2017. So in terms of the results, you're not going to win the national championship every time you go to a national championship, but not meeting perhaps the expectations in subsequent years for her and what she might expect. And now making this transition into the women's game, you hope that between them and Team Wark that we have some strong women's teams in BC to help increase what British Columbia women's curling has been, because we've seen some not great results from BC and the Scotties over the past few years. So, hopefully that this is a chance for them to, as you say, get their legs under them. And I wonder, it might be an unfair comparison, but with Brendan Botcher, the first time he went to the Brier, really struggled that week. I think they went 4-7 or 3-8. They had a tough week, but it was a great growing chance for them. They learned what it was all about. And I think the thing that a lot of teams talk about when they talk about that first time at a Brier or a Scotties, it's not just the games, it's everything that goes along with it. At a regular Spiel or even a Grand Slam, you don't have the same media around, right? You don't have the even though it's 5 or 10 minutes after the game that the skip has to go do, you don't necessarily account for that. You're not used to that. You don't have up closes at the other events. You don't have autograph sessions. You don't have, even if you're just walking around the concourse of the building, the same level of people wanting to talk to you.
That's right.
That attention is difficult to get used to. And even though you've played in some national events and international events before, this is a different level of it. So a lot of the skips have talked about those sorts of things, getting used to that. So Corinne Brown, very talented team. In this pool, I give them a better chance to get to the championship round than I would in Pool A. But I think it's going to be a struggle for them to just get their feet under them. Sure,
I'd agree with you. They, in this pool, will likely be contending for that 4th berth in the championship pool. I think they're good enough to do it. But as you said, if they were in Pool A, boy, it would be a bit of a tougher situation for them.
Yeah, but there's so much experience in this pool.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing. Right?
So there's teams that are rated lower, but
have been there 800 times.
Yeah, so they might have to learn a lesson. My fun fact about this team, Sean, I have 2.
Okay.
So the first one is that the third, Erin Pincott, lists in the media guide her partner as Matt Dunstone.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
No.
And Desiree Hawes, the second, lists her partner as Tyler Tardy.
Yeah.
So a little bit of BC curling royalty there together. And last one, their 5th alternate. I'm interested in alternates. I think it's kind of cool who you decide to bring.
I agree.
They brought Daleen Pewerchuk, formerly Daleen Sivertson, who I believe played in some represented BC at the juniors.
Okay.
I guess I could look at the media guide.
Yeah, she's played in 3 junior national championships as the skip.
And she played second for Kelly Scott at the Scotties in 2012.
Yes, after they had their switch up.
Yes, and she also played against me in the Victoria Cash League.
Well, why isn't that listed here in the media guide?
I know, right? I believe she beat us every time we played her. So, fun fact.
Yeah, so next up, one of the teams with a lot of experience, certainly at the skip level, Suzanne Burt is back at the Scotties for her 11th appearance, Scott. It seems like a very long time ago, That's because it was a very long time ago. Her rookie appearance where
Yeah.
she goes 10-1, I think, in the round robin, and makes it to the final, loses that final, and since then hasn't had the same type of results. Last year, though, came out sort of with an FU attitude of I'm playing everything in the house, no hits at all, lots of points scored, set a record for the most points in a game at a Scotties, and it's a team that I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch over the week.
Yeah, they're always fun to watch. Putting rocks in play, the two-time Canadian junior champion.
Yep.
Will be joined also by, I think Caitlin Laws was a two-time junior champion. If that team is successful in making it into the field. Lots of experience for Suzanne as the skip. This team has been together a little while now too, with Marie Christensen playing third there.
Yeah, this is her third appearance.
Yeah, and so a few years now under their belt, like you said, they were scoring so many points last year. That was sort of the talk of the event, right?
Yep.
Oh boy, we got a real barn burner, Suzanne Burt in there. And you say she'd play no hits, and you're sort of right in that she would get things all junked up and then would find a way to make like an amazing hit through a hole or like a board weight come around hit and end up with like, oh, now there's 5 of my rocks in play.
Yeah.
Deal with that other team. So pretty great there. I'm going to mention their fun fact. Lead Michelle McQuaid,
Yeah,
sister of NHL defenseman Adam McQuaid.
there you go.
And also I played with her and against her at the Royal Montreal Curling Club.
Jeez, again, not in the media guide.
I can't believe it, right?
Very shocking.
Yeah. Do you have anything more to say about Suzanne?
Just the only thing about this team, which will be, it may be interesting to see, because a few years ago in Montreal we saw it. If sometimes like a flu bug can go around these things. They don't have an alternate. They didn't bring one
That's
with
right.
them, so hopefully it's not needed. Usually it's not an issue, but just every so often,
Well,
it could come up.
out in Saskatchewan, it's nice and dry, right? So everything dies. I don't know. Science? Something?
You're a scientist. So we'll see what happens here with Suzanne Burt, but just, always a lot of fun to see her at a Scotties.
Yeah, championship pool, I think it's realistic for her to expect to contend for that championship pool.
Yeah, I agree. She made it in last year, finishes at 6-5, and misses the playoffs. So let's move on to another team with tons of experience. Carrie Galusha is back for the 17th time at a Scotties Tournament of Hearts. A couple of those were as alternates, but still, you're there. It counts.
It does count.
And this team, Scott, I would say in a normal year, you would think of them as a team that would threaten to make the playoffs. This year, or not the playoffs, excuse me, the championship pool. This year, it's going to be a little harder because this field is so good.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We did talk a lot, not last year as much, but the year before, about how her expectations were there to make the championship pool. They had played a lot a couple of years ago in preparation for getting there.
Yep.
She has a younger team now, recruiting Sarah Colton to come and play with her, and they haven't been able to break through yet.
No.
And one interesting thing about this team that maybe a lot of people don't know is that Joanne Rizzo joined the team to play second as their import from Ontario. And in the weeks leading up to the Scotties, they've decided to make a switch. I think they did it at their territorial playdowns, where Carrie is going to throw second stones and Joanne is going to throw fourth, which seems nuts, right? Because Carrie Galusha is such a great shot maker.
Great, yeah.
You ask the Cooies, right? If you ask the family who's the best shot maker, they all say it's Carrie.
They all say Carrie.
So a little bit of a surprise that this would happen. Personally, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw them switch back during the event, depending how things go. But Joanne Rizzo, a very experienced curler.
Yes.
And what did you told me something about her before.
But very interesting about Joanne Rizzo. She played with Sherry Madoff forever. She's played in 2 Olympic trial events. This is her first Scotties.
Her first Scotties.
Which is really hard to believe for someone who's been around so much on a very prominent team.
Yeah, and she skipped her own team as well before. That was always in the playoff contention at the Ontario level.
Yep.
Very, very strong player.
Yeah, she skipped in 2 senior national championships.
That's right.
As Team Ontario, but this will be her first time at a Scotties. Now, whereas someone like Corinne Brown, though, in that team, you would say maybe the experience matters. Joanne Rizzo, despite it being her first Scotties, I have the utmost confidence that she will not be taken aback by any of the goings-on at a Scotties.
Will likely not shy away from the moment.
No.
So good for her. The oldest player in the field, I believe, at age 56, and as you mentioned, has some success in the senior level. Great shot maker.
Yep.
Also appeared in the Women of Curling calendar last year.
There you go.
Alongside her dog. So a lot of experience on this team, and I think she brings like a level of, I want to say, legitimacy, which sounds dumb when you're talking about Carrie Galushin, right? But she's a really great player that's established and can come into the team and sort of maybe give a little balance to the team. Shauna Barber's back throwing lead stones, and as I mentioned, Sarah Colton will be the third.
Yep.
But will be sweeping. So they keep the young sweeping power there. Shauna's a great sweeper, as has been for a long time. So that's I think this team should expect to challenge for that championship.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree that it's a smart decision to have Sarah Colton sweep as well. Within this configuration, have the young person do it. It really just makes a lot of sense. So hopefully for them that they have a good week and can make it into that championship pool. For Gary Galush, of course, a couple times when they used to have that relegation round, a couple times she didn't make it out of that relegation round, was visibly and very vocally upset with that system. Mm-hmm. So hopefully now that she can break through to that championship round. Next up on the rankings is Nova Scotia. Marianne Arsenault beats Colleen Jones in the Nova Scotia final. The core four of the Jones teams played together in the Nova Scotia seniors, lost out on draw to the button on the draw shot challenge. They missed out. They were tied for second place in a three-way tie for second and got eliminated on draw shot challenge. Colleen Jones on Twitter talked about how she understands it, but she loves a good tiebreaker. And that'll be it for them, as Marianne Arsenault is announced that she's going to move out to the left coast. But a lot of fun things on this team. Not only do we have Marianne Arsenault, had the great run 2 years ago in Penticton, where she had the great run through, makes the playoffs, but playing with her niece as the lead, Emma Logan, and Colleen Jones, if anyone missed it, tweeted out a really cool story, which I did not know about Emma Logan, Scott.
Yeah, Sean, I was getting a little misty, to be honest. It was such a great story. Emma explained in the piece she lost her hearing before she can remember, when she was a baby because of meningitis. A friend of mine, her daughter, had the same thing. And they've devised a way for her to be able to communicate still with the team using a combination of duct tape on the glove to say, like, green go sweep and red stop, and as well a microphone that's been approved by Curling Canada to be used where it gets transmitted right into her cochlear implant. I always have trouble with that word. And she's able to then hear. And the interesting thing is, you'd think they would put it on the skip, but no, they've given it to the third so that she can communicate while sweeping. Right? Because she would seem to be missing out on some of those things. So really great story. The first hearing impaired participant at a Scotties Tournament of Hearts, and really, it sort of makes me cheer for this team a bit more.
Yeah, it's a terrific story, and we've played, Scott, in a Bonspiel against a team that is entirely hearing impaired.
That's right, yeah.
And it's interesting to see the communication things that are put in place. And, when you go out just as a non-hearing impaired individual, you can go out with people you don't know and play, and it takes a while to figure out the verbiage that people use. But this is a whole nother level that you have to think about, and it's really interesting to see. It's really cool. It's a great story that they get to play together. And yeah, I agree. You're gonna root for them. They're gonna get some TV time too. You will be able to see all the things in place as they play in their game. I will say that by Sunday afternoon, we have a Vic video essay about it as one of the coming back from commercial things. It seems like something that they would do. But just overall, a terrific story. But terrific stories don't get you wins at a Scotties.
That's right.
What gets you wins is a Skip who
has 5 Scotties championships
and is really, really good.
Yeah.
So I think, compared to the other pool, this pool has Holman, has whoever the wild card team is. You would expect those 2 teams to make it through.
Sure.
And then we have BC, PEI, Northwest Territories, and now Nova Scotia. Those 4 teams are going to, I'd be surprised if the other 2 will be competing for the other 2 spots. And I got to say, just thinking about it, I would give the edge to Nova Scotia because Marianne Arsenault, she can't throw the high hard one the way she used to, but that soft touch, she tends to be able to draw 4 foot just with her eyes closed.
Yeah.
She can get the pin when she needs to as well. I think that's a huge advantage for this team. I really like their chances of making it through to that championship pool.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you, Sean. I think Marianne's advantage of all that experience, and that experience, not just experience, but experience winning.
Yeah.
I think probably makes them the favorite in this. So with 3 other teams in the mix, it's going to be the head-to-head that's really important.
Yeah. It's going to be that game against those games against Corinne Brown, Suzanne Burt, and
Carrie Galusha.
That will probably decide it. And then as the next 2 teams we'll talk about, you got to take care of those games.
You got to take care of business,
of those games that of the teams that are ranked below you. So one of those teams, another great story, Lori Eddy is coming back. First appearance at a Scotties since losing the final as that sounds. I mean, I've never played in a final of a national championship. It's better than I could do.
Sure.
In 1997, playing with Allison Goring, she is girl 1 or girl 2. I always forget which is which.
I think girl 1.
On 2 girls in a game. Yeah. She is coming in to skip the team from Nunavut, from the Iqaluit Curling Club. Mildly fun fact, 1 of the 4 players lives in Iqaluit. 2 of them are at school in Ontario.
That's right.
Who are from Iqaluit. But a team, Scott, that we saw last year, Nunavut got their first win at a Scotties, which was a lot of fun. This year, I think we have low expectations for the team just because of past experience with Nunavut. But with someone like Lori Eddy, who has a pretty good pedigree, I don't think you can dismiss the team out of hand.
I mean, no, you can't dismiss them out of hand. And the other the other player with the pedigree is Sadie Pinkston, who's going to throw third rocks. She has represented Nunavut at, I think, 13 different Canadian events, be they junior or Canada Winter Games or whatever.
Yeah.
So and she was on the team last year.
Yes.
That got that first win under their belt. She's the future of Nunavut curling. I don't think anybody would dispute that. And bringing in somebody like Lori, who has a coaching background as well as a playing background, to be able to, help this team adjust to the future, because Lori's not going to play with them forever, right?
No.
But she's going to be able to help guide them into what to expect from an event like this. This is what you should be thinking about when, like between draws, this is the kind of stuff you do. So pretty exciting for her as well, to get to go back after so many years. And every time that you talk to a player who's been in the Scotties, they sort of talk about getting that jewelry, or getting their provincial jacket, and how it brings a lot of pride. And I think it's really exciting for Lori to get that. Her occupation on the media guide is podcast host.
There you go.
So something for us to aspire to, Sean.
When we make it to the Briar. But yeah, I think the point you make with Sadie Pinkston is really well taken. 8 appearances at the juniors, including this year, out there in Langley, where she won 2 games in that field. So she's got shut out a couple times out of those 8, but 8 times as a skip at the juniors. hopefully, I mean, she's a student right now at the University of Ottawa, go GGs. But hopefully that there's an opportunity for her to continue because she has all this great experience at the junior level to, whether she moves back to Iqaluit or not, to push forward with Nunavut curling and make it so that they can put forth some competitive teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the final team in this pool, a rookie squad from...
Did I give a fun fact?
Oh, no, you didn't. Sorry, give us the fun... I thought the fun fact was that none of them actually live
there?
In Iqaluit. Again...
Well, to be honest, my fun fact was that Sadie Pinkston has represented... This will be her 13th
yes.
time representing Nunavut, so that was my fun fact. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. The final team here, a rookie squad for... Quebec, Naomi Verreau is skipping this team. She's played in the Canadian mixed twice as a third in 2009, 2010. That is her only appearance at any national championship. I think the lightest resume of any of the players in the field here for Naomi. And overall, Scott, when you're looking at it, like, none of the teams or none of the players on this team have played in the Scotties before. You just don't know what to expect at all from them because of that.
Yeah, it's hard to know what to expect. Maybe some of the things that we talked about with Corinne Brown will apply to this team as well. All quite young. I'm a little surprised. Sorry, by the age. Oh, I was looking at years curled, but still quite a young team. And,
well, young. They're all sort of in that late 20, early 30 range.
Yeah, to me that's young, right? I think, what they can hope for is to gain some experience, have fun. I doubt it that they'll be able to make it out of this pool, given
surprised.
what we've talked about.
Yep.
But gain some experience, have fun, and, get a taste of what you're going to be fighting for the next few years.
Yeah, I get the sense that it's a little Mike Fournier-esque, right? They've been around, they play it, I'm sure at their club level, they're in the top level of the leagues at their respective clubs, go into the provincials, do a few cash deals each year, make it into this. So, it'll be a lot of fun for them, I'm sure. It'll be a great experience. One of those dream come true bucket list things if you're a competitive curler that you get to go do, and hopefully they have a really fun week. But yeah, expectations in terms of championship pool playoffs certainly would be low, and be a fun story though if they go on a run.
Yeah, for sure. And like the second Marie Pierre is listed as a family doctor, so I'm sure she doesn't have a lot of time to be crisscrossing the country on the curling tour.
Yeah, you got to be saving lives.
Yeah, my fun fact for this team is another person I know or have met. I wouldn't say I know her, but Lana Rutledge played 1 year with Sean Canavan in Quebec, and I played with Sean in the mixed doubles there in Quebec, and played for a while with her at the club level. So there you go. That's my personal connection.
Yeah, you said all of your fun facts would come out of the media guide. I don't know how many of the fun, none of them have. They've all been like, I know this person.
Well, it's come from me looking at the media guide and being like, oh,
where am I?
Person.
Where's my name? So that's the 8 teams from Pool B. Let's move over to Pool A. This is absolutely loaded. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch Pool A play out. The highest ranked team in the field overall is Carrie Einarson from Manitoba. They, of course, win that Manitoba championship. Third appearance for Carrie Einarson in this event. Made it to the finals as Team Wildcard a couple years ago, losing to Jennifer Jones at a time when she couldn't beat Jennifer Jones at all. That, of course, has flipped in the past 2 years, and now she can't lose to Jennifer Jones.
That's right.
But a team, Scott, that we saw the big shakeup, right? When she lost to Jennifer Jones, it was not this team.
Yep.
The big shakeup, the 4 skips come together with Val. You have a lot of experience out of Scotties with Val, but this will be her first time as a third in this event. I don't know. Pool A is loaded, but I think that they're the favorite in the pool.
That's interesting because based on Pool A, I could see them not making the championship round, which would be pretty insane, right?
Yeah.
Given the competition they face to get there, I think the key player for them is always going to be Val Sweeting.
Yeah, I agree.
If Val is playing really well, she can help set it up for Carrie to where Carrie can throw the shots that she likes to throw. If you see her struggling with ice and weight, I think a bit at the beginning of the event, that could spell trouble to me.
It could, yeah. I mean, with Carrie, I think she's gotten better the past couple of years, but she's still going to default to the hit. And at these events, you need to be able to have that draw weight in your back pocket. We've seen this team go through some struggles. They came out of the gate last year just guns a-blazing, winning everything.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to sustain that forever. But the pace has certainly slowed down. They haven't had the same level of results recently. But what is great about the team and the dynamic, what they've seemed to have figured out is, with the old team, Carrie would get a little frustrated. I'm sure part of that was just the overall interpersonal dynamics between the four of them. Val keeps it really light. And she's laughing a lot. She's having a lot of fun out there. And I think she's the key player, not only for the shot making and putting Carrie in good position, but for that disposition and keeping things light, keeping things relaxed, making sure that everyone's having a good time out there on the ice, and taking the tension off Carrie Anderson so that when there is a big shot, she's in a better headspace to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. She also is a really good conduit between the front end and the skip, which, as we've talked about in previous podcasts, that is really important for the third to be able to do that. So not much else to say on this team other than they're really good.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about some of the other teams, and I'll point out where I think they could trip up.
Okay.
But as far as my fun fact, this one will come from the media guide because I have not met any of these players. But there is one person as part of the team that has been to an Olympic Winter Games.
Okay.
That would be their coach. Their coach, Patty Vutrick, of course, wife of Hans Vutrick, the legendary ice maker, represented Canada as an alternate at the 88 Olympics.
Yes.
When it was a demonstration sport, and Linda Moore was skipping and won a gold medal for Canada.
There you go. That is a fun fact.
Right?
I like that one.
Thanks, man.
Next up in the rankings, the defending champion, Chelsea Carey. Team Canada, of course, from Alberta. Did not, of course, have to play out of Alberta this year, but they will be wearing the Maple Leaf in 2020. As we talked about at the top, she has a great record at the Scotties. She does not mess around. She just goes to the Scotties and wins. Two-time champion at this event. Has struggled at the two World Championships that she's been to, but when it comes to the Scotties, this is when Chelsea Carey seems to be playing her best. Just, eye test-wise, and certainly the record holds up, that if you want to see the best Chelsea Carey, go to watch her at a Scotties. Yeah.
Of course, she struggled for a long time trying to get to the Scotties, what with, Jennifer Jones being in the way. And then I think Kathy Overton Clapham had a team and beat her. And so, a tough province to get out of, Manitoba. Now that she's in Alberta, another tough province to get out of. But she seems to make the most of those opportunities when she gets there. And I think she's talked about this in some interviews she's done, that peaking at the right time for their team involves peaking at the Scotties.
Yeah.
Which could explain some of her struggles at the Worlds.
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But as a team, since they've known they've been able to, they're going to this event, they've been able to design their season around trying to do that again and peak at the right time. Sarah Wilkes is very key to this team, I think. Her times at the Scotties was when she won, and then she played second for Shannon Kleibrink in 2017 and wasn't able to win. But if she's there and playing well, there's no reason this team can't repeat.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what we've seen with Chelsea Carey is she has a very systematic approach to how she wants to prepare for over the course of the season. When the events are the biggest, that's when she wants to be at her best, and she has designed her schedule to be able to do that. That's why she's been so good at the Scotties. She did the same thing for the trials. The Olympic trials in 2017, she went 8-1 in that event.
Yeah.
Again, that's the hardest event in the world, and she comes out and basically dominates it until the final. And when Chelsea Carey has that attention to detail, that focus, she's almost unbeatable. So the fact that, the Continental Cup, where she didn't quite have the draw weight the way you might expect it, or if she's struggling at the slams, I don't take that seriously in terms of using it as a predictor for what's going to happen at the Scotties.
Yeah, as we've seen, you can't. You
No.
can't, right?
So, yeah, I based on everything else, I would put Carrie Anderson maybe a notch ahead of them, but given her history at the Scotties, it's like 1A and 1 and 1A. It's not it's really close.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get what you mean.
All right, so let's move on to Alberta, the team actually representing Alberta. This time it is going to be Laura Walker, rookie skip here at Crocker Walker, making her debut at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. A lot of fun to see this team. Great reaction when they won the Alberta final, and the great sort of soundbite that was caught saying, "Thanks for not quitting."
Yeah.
So rookie team here, highly ranked, played a lot. She got a lot of growth out of last season. It really seemed like playing with the old timers, if you will. Kathy Overton Clapham, Lainey Peters, and someone else was on that
Lori
team.
Olsen-Johns.
Lori Olsen-Johns. She got just tons of experience from and benefited from the experience of those. Just some of Kathy Overton Clapham, all-time great player.
Oh, absolutely.
So really coming to fruition this year. First time at a Scotties, but Scott, you can't discount them even in this loaded pool.
No, absolutely. She's got Kate Cameron with her too. Went to the finals there as Team Manitoba with Michelle Englot, and then came back as Team Canada after they finished second, but Homan couldn't come.
Yep.
So she's got some experience there. Taylor McDonald, T-Mac as they call her, tons of experience with her. Junior level, mixed doubles even. And then Nadine Scotland, former skip too, in her own right, out of Alberta. So a really strong team here. Laura Walker last year, when she was playing with, I'll call them the more experienced players, it seemed like they would show up at slams and somehow make the playoffs every time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they'd go 2-2 and have to come through a tie break. 3-1. We didn't see them get to any finals or win any events, but they were always in the mix. And I think a lot of that has to do with Laura Walker's ability to make shots. We've seen her do it at the mixed doubles level. And I think her game translates really nice to the Scotties. This is a team that I'm advancing to the championship pool, even with a rookie skip.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, nothing's really going to sort of catch her unaware. I think you don't want to make too much of it, but being around Jeff Walker and as a result being around Brad Gushu and seeing the work that team puts into, not only with the people she played with last year, but just seeing that somebody like Brad Gushu, who has been able to sustain at a high level for so long, understanding what goes into that, just being able to observe it, I think would be helpful to her. She's been to, even though she hasn't played in the Scotties, enough national championships. Certainly would have been at a couple Briars to see what goes on behind the scenes with the players. So she's not going to be surprised by any of the auxiliary stuff that goes around these events. So, yeah, certainly high expectations for Laura Walker and Team Alberta.
All right, I will give my fun fact for them just after I give my fun fact for Team Canada, which I forgot. And that's that Dana Ferguson, of course, is the cousin of one of our cousins' husbands.
Yes.
So, very slight familial connection there.
Very slight. Very, very slight.
Very slight.
It's through marriage.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah,
And
a second cousin married Dana Ferguson's cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. And
I don't think that means we can get her number and call her and be like, "Hey, do you want to be on the show?"
We probably could. So the fun fact for Alberta, they've got Brian Chick working for them as their coach this year. I think Laura's talked a little bit about how he's helped them, but he was a prior guest on our podcast, so there's a connection.
Yes. He was wrote the book Written in Stone a modern history of curling. So yeah, he's been on the show before, so that'll be a lot of fun to have Brian Schick around and see his coaching resume is pretty good. I didn't know he coached as much as he did, but certainly a lot of experience there, which again will be helpful.
He also coached me at Trillium Curling Camp way back in probably 2000.
All right.
So there you go.
I was concerned. You hadn't brought it back to yourself in about 8 minutes, so I was a little concerned there.
That's fun. That's fun stuff.
Next up on the rankings is the home team. Robin Silvernagle. The place is going to be loud. It's going to be packed on the Saskatchewan draws. I saw that Saskatchewan gets a night game each of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I saw that on Twitter. So I don't know if that's accurate. I just saw it on Twitter. But when they play, it's going to be loud. It's not going to be St. John's Gushu games loud, but it will be just a notch below that. I had the pleasure of going to the Scotties when it was in Regina way back in 2008, and that team was skipped by Michelle Engelot, the Saskatchewan team, and it was a morning draw when one of the times I was there, and she was playing, and even in the morning, people were up going crazy whenever she was making shots, and it was an emotional week too. Her father had passed.
That's right.
A couple days before the event, so that there was even, if it's possible, even more support for the home team than there would have been otherwise. But there's going to be a lot of cheering, a lot of noise for Team Saskatchewan, and based on what happened last year, where they win the bronze medal, I think some expectations.
Yeah, I think there's some expectations for this team for sure. They, when they won Saskatchewan, Robin talked about, oh boy, the amount of support we got for the Grand Slam that we played in, that was in Saskatchewan, was incredible, and she said, I can only just imagine what it's going to be for Scotties, a hometown province Scotties. The pressure might be too much. I don't know.
It's possible.
There are some expectations on this team. This is one of the teams that I could see them missing, right? I could see them making, and I could see them missing that championship pool. A lot's going to depend on Stephanie Lawton. We've talked a lot about how important she is, not only to making shots, but also to getting Robin in the right mind space, ready to throw. She's the key cog on the team, and I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, no question. This is very much a Stephanie Lawton type sort of focus here, that she is the person who is going to really determine a lot of the team's success. Now, she does have the benefit, Stephanie Lawton, of back in 2015, she was skipping Team Saskatchewan when the Scotties was in Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
So she has that experience of being the home team in Saskatchewan, curling crazy province.
Yeah.
So that hopefully will benefit the team, that they won't get too high when the crowd is going crazy for them, that she can keep that calm demeanor that she tends to have. The other thing, though, that's a little maybe concerning is the results this year for Stephanie Lawton for Robin Silvernagle have not been what we maybe would have hoped for coming off that Scotties last year. Back at the Canada Cup, only went 1-5, struggled there. So who knows? And in this pool, it could be tough.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a sophomore slump. Who knows? But you're right. It is a tough pool. How they get out of the gate is going to matter a lot.
Yeah.
I believe their first game is against Nova Scotia. No,
it's against New Brunswick.
New Brunswick, right.
Yeah.
Who we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
So that could be a game for maybe the last place in the championship pool right away. So we'll see what happens. My fun fact for this team, the fifth, is Stephanie Schmidt, who played, I want to say in 2014, played on the Team Saskatchewan that went to the Scotties. And I have a GIF that I made of her. She made a really great shot and then did sort of a woot woot, hands up in the air kind of motion that I thought was really funny. So there's a GIF out there of her doing that. Hopefully we don't see her in any games, because that might mean they're getting blown out.
That's not a good sign, yeah.
But some fun experience on the bench there.
Yeah, so let's move on. Next team, Krista McCarville, I think a favorite of the show. We love when Krista McCarville's there representing Northern Ontario. This will be her 8th time at a Scotties. She's made it to a final before. She's had great success at the Olympic trials as well when she's been there. A team that doesn't play a lot on tour for a variety of reasons. I think the leading one is family considerations. They'd rather do other things and have other responsibilities that they want to take care of, which means that normally when they come to a Scotties, they struggle the first day or two. They don't play on arena ice very frequently. The Northern Ontario Provincials usually is not played in an arena, so it takes them a while to get used to that again. But once they get used to it, it's hard to beat them. So this is a team where the format change, I think, hurts them with the pools because, again, they would usually take a loss or two early, which in this new format where, 4 losses doesn't get you a playoff spot anymore. It used to get you something for sure. Not a guarantee anymore. Taking 2 losses early is really tough to, 1, get in the championship pool, and then 2, to get into a playoff spot.
Yeah, 100%. This is my favorite team. I'll say it. They're really fun to watch. They're really good.
Yeah.
And they were super nice to me when I met them. So there you go. This is a tough pool for them to be in. And as you mentioned, like a couple of quick early losses could be tough. They're playing Chelsea Carey in the first game on Saturday afternoon. So we'll see, how they come to play in that game. Another factor for this team is that Sarah Potts, their lead, is not playing this year.
Right.
Rick Lang announced on a podcast, I think, that Sarah was having their first grandchild, so they were pretty excited about that. And replacing her is going to be, who's replacing her?
Jen Gates.
Jen Gates, right?
Yeah.
Who played second with them last year, when she was replacing Ashley Sipola, who was out on maternity leave as well. So maybe a bit of a different dynamic to the team. I found Sarah always was able to keep things a bit light, but also has such a good curling mind.
Yeah.
Parents Rick and Lorraine. She grew up in curling, so they might feel her absence a little bit.
I think so.
I'm rooting for this team 100%. I can't see them going and not making the championship pool,
No, I agree. It'd be hard to see that happen. But again, in this pool, it's possible because the pool is so loaded.
Yeah.
But I do like that even though there is a lineup change, there is some continuity in the team.
Yeah, for sure.
That always sort of leads to some success. So high expectations from us, at least, for Northern Ontario and Krista McCarville. Your fun fact, Scott.
My fun fact is that Kendra Lilly is the only one that doesn't live in Thunder Bay.
Where does she live?
She lives in Sudbury.
So she's still in the province.
Well, now I'm lying because Jen Gates lives in Sudbury too. But the full team, she is the only one that doesn't live with them, so finds it a little more difficult to find time to practice.
Right.
And considering that, she is so good at curling. So good.
Yeah. Okay, so next up on our rankings, or not our rankings, in the rankings in the pool is New Brunswick and Andrea Crawford. Her 9th time at a Scotties. Not always the greatest of results for Andrea Crawford, and a team that, again, this is similar to what I might say for Carrie Galusha, that in a normal year, I would think that they would have a chance to get into the championship pool. Mm-hmm. This year, this pool, I don't know, man. It's hard to see it.
Yeah, it's really hard to see it, which is unfortunate. It's always fun to watch Andrea because she, again, similarly to Suzanne Burt, not afraid to put some rocks in play.
No.
She's been about 500 at the Scotties in her career. As you mentioned, there was her record was about
38
games.
And 46.
Yes, 8 games under 500. So when she gets there, she's usually 5 and 6, 6 and 5. A couple times a little bit worse than that, but someone that's fun to watch play. And unfortunately, I think they sort of got pool screwed, as you say. In Survivor,
yeah,
somebody gets swapped and then kicked out. They call it swap screwed.
Yeah.
So I think they got a little bit unfortunate in the draw.
Yeah, if they're in Pool B, I think they have a much better chance of making it into the championship pool than they do in Pool A.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your fun fact.
My fun fact about this team is that Andrea Crawford works for the Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Center.
So she's
Welfare
a colleague.
Services. Yeah, so good on her working for DND. I believe she spent some time in Germany while she wasn't playing.
That makes sense.
For New Brunswick. So good on. And maybe my favorite player in the field is Jill Babin. I like Jill Babin watching her play. So good luck to them.
My fun fact for them: first player I ever interviewed at a Scotties back in 2014
was
Andrea Crawford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was maybe another.
No, after a controversy at a game, the handle of one of the rocks didn't work, and
yes,
the
I remember
officials threw it out anyway and said it was a hog line violation, even though it was demonstrated that the handle was not working.
That's true.
So that was I wrote a whole story about it.
Cool.
So that was a lot of fun. So next up in the rankings is Yukon and the team of Haley Burney. Her second appearance in a Scotties, first time as a skip for her. I'll just say low expectations for them. Hopefully that they can win a game, but I don't think anyone going into this would look at them as a team that will challenge for the championship pool.
Sean, I don't think I've heard of any of the players on this team. To me, it's a bit similar to. I want to say it's similar to the Quebec team, although this team is a bit older than that. But Chelsea Duncan, we saw her first when she played with Sarah Colton in 2014 at Montreal. So she's sort of been to the Scotties, 3 times before?
This will be her 5th appearance, actually,
appearance.
for Chelsea Duncan, and 7 appearances at the juniors as well.
Yeah, so a lot of experience on this kind of stage. A really good thrower, good shot maker. I don't really know much about anybody else, to be honest.
Yeah, first time for the second or lead at any national championship. So, no experience at the national level there. So it's, you don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, and unlike what we saw with the Nunavut team and the Northwest Territories team, these players all seem to live in Whitehorse. So they get the chance to play together. Our friend Megan lived in Whitehorse for a while, and so she could give us some input on the Whitehorse Curling Club situation.
Yes.
But good that they all get to live together, like in the same city.
Practice together, right? And that's something
yeah.
that the Nunavut team wouldn't have that opportunity to practice together at the same frequency that the Yukon team does. Now they're not playing each other, unfortunately, but you do wonder if that will early on give them an edge compared to some of the other teams.
Yeah, and so that was my fun fact, that they all live in Whitehorse.
All right, and rounding out the field, Newfoundland and Labrador, Scott. It's skipped by a Curtis, but not the Curtis you might expect.
No, it's skipped by Erica Curtis.
Yes, not Stacy Curtis, who has skipped the team, I would say, at least 4 or 5 times in a Scotties before.
I think they're sisters-in-law.
Yes,
that's
are.
Right.
Because it was Stacy Devereaux, her first couple of appearances, married into the Curtis family. Now you have Erica Curtis, and Julie Devereaux is on this team. So a lot of familial relationships here for Newfoundland and Labrador on the women's side.
Yeah, a real family affair. Like some experience for all these players at a previous Scotties. It's not their first rodeo.
No.
Erica
used to play with Stacy.
With Stacy, that's right. So we've seen them have some success.
Around 500.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think what they should aim to do is to win their game against Yukon for sure.
Yep.
And then the rest, who knows? They can beat New Brunswick.
They can. They can beat Yukon. I don't know if they'll, depending on schedule, maybe they can get McCarville early in the event. I don't know, but it's going to be a tough sledding, I think, for Newfoundland and Labrador to make it to that pool, or to the championship pool.
Yeah, to the championship pool for sure. So a fun fact about this team, Sean, Aaron Porter, redhead. So we always like seeing redheads out there on the ice.
We're an endangered species.
Exactly. So, Sean, we're getting pushed out of here.
Yeah, we're going to get pushed out of
here.
here really soon. There's an event going on. You might hear the voices as some musicians come in. We're going to be serenaded here at the Rito Curling Club.
Yeah, I believe it's the cello night.
Yeah, so a lot of fun there. I will note that one of the individuals did not take their shoes off at the door, but I'm not going to say anything about that.
Okay.
So those are the 16 teams who are participating. Well, 17 as we did the 2 wild card teams. Overall, Scott, I'm really excited. As I said, Scotties is my favorite event. Another thing that we didn't mention, the purse has increased. So parity with the men, now $300,000 up for grabs, $105,000 to the winner, $65,000 for second place, $45,000 for third place. Everybody else splits $85,000 based on standings, and it's going to be Dave Merklinger ice out there in Moose Jaw, where the seating capacity is 4,500 people. Draw times of 8:30, 1:30, 6:30 local. So 10:30, 3:30, 8:30 Eastern time. And for all the other time zones, you can figure it out based on where you live.
I believe it's opposite. It's only 1 hour difference right now from Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Well, I looked at the times in Eastern, and they were pretty...
okay, great.
You know,
it's even better.
Yeah, it's way better. 7:30, 2:30, and 9:30. Yeah, that's right.
There you go. So let's make our picks, Scott. Rules apply as always. We pick 4 teams to make the playoffs. 1 point for each correct one. 1 team to win. If you get that right, it's an additional point. So 5 points are available here. Who you got?
All right. So I'm only going to pick the playoffs, right? We don't have to pick.
We don't have to pick championship pool, no.
Okay. From Pool B, I'm going to start Pool B. I'm going to go Ontario. Yep. Is going to be one of my teams that get out there. Cool. And Manitoba is going to happen.
Yep. It's starting.
It's starting, yeah.
It's exciting.
Should we?
Isn't it exciting?
Should we get out of here?
It's just go,
it's
man.
It's distracting me.
Well, it's music. It's nice. It's a cello.
Okay, so I have Ontario, Manitoba. Give me Alberta, and give me Northern Ontario to make the playoffs.
Okay, so Ontario, Northern Ontario, Manitoba, Alberta. Your winner is
Rachel Homan.
Rachel Homan from Ontario. I'm going to go a bit of a different tact. I'm going to put Team Canada in there. Chelsea Carey, just too good at these events.
Good call.
To say no to. I also am going to go with Rachel Homan here in the field to make the playoffs. I think she has just such an advantage in Pool B compared to some of those teams in Pool A. I'm going to go with the wild card team. I like whoever comes out of that game, Tracy Fleury or Jennifer Jones. I'm going to go with them. And for my final playoff team, I'm going to go a little bit with an upset pick. I don't know if it's an upset pick, but I'm going to go with Laura Walker to come through. You know, Alberta not making the playoffs at a national championship always feels weird. I mean, it happens.
It happens sometimes, but it's pretty weird.
But it's always weird when it does. And I think I'm going to go with... I got to go with Rachel Homan to win too, and not to copy you.
Sean.
I do have to go with Rachel Homan. So we'll see how that all plays out over the course of the next week and a half. Scott, I'm so excited for the Scotties.
Me too, and I'm also excited to get out of here. So
so thanks for listening. You can tell that we are getting the rush out. So if you have not yet, please do subscribe to the show wherever you get your shows, because we're going daily during the event. So starting Friday night, about half hour to an hour after TSN goes off the air, we'll drop our episode every day through the Scotties. Very excited for it. So do subscribe and follow along. And follow us Instagram, Twitter at Game of Stones Pod. You can find us on email too. Questions, comments, gameofstonespodcast@gmail.com.
And we're gonna try during the event to do at least one question or comment from somebody on Twitter or
each
day. So send us those questions and we'll do our best.
We'll address it. So that'll be a lot of fun. Very much looking forward to it. So enjoy it, everybody. We'll talk with you again on Friday night. But until then, keep those brooms on the ice and don't dump that intern.